Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's jump straight into it. So I was off yesterday, I had a work thing, couldn't do a video, and lo and behold, sod's law, all the news breaks regarding Sesko and the striker situation and stuff. So I wanted to do this video early today, just more for myself so I can catch up on all the news and bring you all the latest. I will probably do a video later on today where we talk more about the game and go through all the comments and stuff like that as well. But I just want to go through all the Sesko news, like I said, because I'm a little bit behind and I just want to make sure that you're all up to date. And then there are some actually the latest news regarding that situation as well. So let's kick off there. Let's just start straight away with the Benjamin Šeško news. So if you haven't seen it, Fabrizio Romano said that Manchester United have held direct talks with RB Leipzig in the last 48 hours to begin concrete discussions over the Benjamin Šeško deal, with reports suggesting a face-to-face meeting took place in recent days. So Fabrizio Romano, who has been the one leading the pack almost when it comes to United entering the race and going in for Benjamin Šeško and starting talks and, you know, speaking to the player agents and stuff as well. And credit where it's due for, you know, Romano still, I get the clickbait thing that you say in the comments regarding him, but he's still one of the best around when it comes to transfer news and stuff. But then we had David Ornstein getting involved, and I think David Ornstein personally is the best around. I just, like, it's just less... He's just less visible. I've said before, he's like a whack-a-mole, just pops up, says something, then disappears for ages. But what he says generally is true. Said that Manchester United are prioritising a move for RB Leipzig's Benjamin Šeško if they sign a striker this summer. The Old Trafford club have made formal contact with their Bundesliga counterparts after Sesko emerged as their preferred option. Newcastle are also targeting the 22-year-old as their top candidate. That interest comes amid Alexander Isak wanting to leave St James's Park and has accelerated the actions of Manchester United. So David Ornstein suggesting that because Newcastle have made, you know, and are pushing also for Sesko, that maybe has then forced us to pull our finger out of our backside and actually start making moves as well, which is what it is. That's the transfer market. Sometimes you do wait for opportunities. Sometimes you pivot to different players as well. And I think that's what we've looked ultimately been done with Benjamin Šeško. And then he also said that Ruben Amorim's side also admire Aston Villa forward Ollie Watkins and have explored the cost of both potential deals. The United hierarchy is reluctant to pay what they thought it may have taken for Villa to consider doing business. Obviously, the last video I brought you a couple of days ago, the news was that United was from Laurie Whitwell and a few others suggesting that United were basically, look, it was a toss-up between Benjamin Šeško and Ollie Watkins. And now United have gone all in for Benjamin Šeško, going off of that report as well. One of the reasons is because they're reluctant to pay what Villa are asking for Ollie Watkins. Now, my preference would have been Ollie Watkins, but I did say that not at the wrong price. If you're going to pay £60 million for Watkins, I'd much rather go for Sesko because it's better value for money, because he's a younger profile of player, and I get the argument in the comments and stuff around the sell-on value and stuff. And it doesn't mean I don't think Sesko's a good player, by the way. I'm happy with either, and we all have different preferences as well, because I know some of you are going to be happy with this news in the comments. I know some of you might not be so happy with the news in the comments, but it is what it is. The one thing I would say, I was watching a video by Andy Mitten. Andy Mitten is very good when it comes to United news. He's a United fan, been around the club for years, very well connected as well. Did an interview, I think it was on the Stretford Paddock, and he was saying, let's not forget that Benjamin Šeško is somebody that United have wanted for years. This isn't just like a random, Christopher Vivel's here, so we're going to go for Sesko. We've made bids for Sesko in the past. Andy Mitt was saying we looked at him as a teenager as well, but there was agent issues or something of that nature why we couldn't get him. He also did say that last summer Benjamin Šeško was our #1 target, and obviously the deal didn't materialise. We ended up going for Joshua Zirkzee as well. So this isn't a deal or isn't a player that's just being plucked out of thin air. We have wanted Benjamin Šeško for a very, very long time, and there's got to be a reason for that. Whether you think he's the right player, the wrong player, I get the issue around there's a way more red flags, I think, with Benjamin Šeško than there is for Ollie Watkins, but it's got to be something in that if we've been chasing this kid for years, since he was a teenager. So So yeah, that's the latest. That was all the latest regarding from Romano and David Ornstein both getting involved. Then we had Florian Plettenberg, who's credible when it comes to Bundesliga news, said that Manchester United held serious talks with Benjamin Šeško at RB Leipzig's camp with a strong sense he'd pick Man United. Christopher Vivell is keen to sign him. Newcastle also discussed a potential transfer. Talks continue. Decision imminent. Now, Romano has said on the decision, potentially not going to be anything made today. It is still a toss-up between us and Newcastle. He hasn't been announced yet that he wants which club his preference would be, which is what I think's the going to be the ultimate deal maker or breaker on this. Is if he chooses that he wants to go to Newcastle, then I don't know where that leaves us. But if he wants to come to United, then I don't know where that leaves Newcastle. But hurt again because they're having a bit of a bad time in the transfer market, aren't they? But yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. But Romano is saying maybe no decision today, possibly tomorrow, maybe over the weekend. So it's still one where we're going to have to wait and see how it all plays out. Ben Jacobs said that Man United have opened formal talks for Benjamin Šeško after sending a secret delegation to Germany. Christopher Vivell driving. Ruben Amorim put forward Ollie Watkins. Newcastle remain in the race. Both clubs' Houghton price drops to 70 million euros. There's an update on the price I'm going to bring you in a second as well. So Ben Jacobs saying that we'd held formal talks for Benjamin Šeško and sent a secret delegation to Germany, like some sort of spy mission. Apparently we've been using intermediaries to go through and start negotiations and bits like that as well. So that's really interesting because obviously you don't do that if you're not going for the player. Romano's also said that Benjamin Šeško will consult with his family, agent and close contacts over the next few days to decide his future. So that's what we're saying there. Romano did say that maybe no decision today, possibly maybe Friday or over the weekend, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. And then we've had Craig Hope from the Daily Mail is actually connected to Newcastle, saying there's a growing belief within Newcastle that Benjamin Šeško is likely to join Manchester United. Sky Sports said that Benjamin Šeško's preferred destination is Manchester United, despite interest from Newcastle. So there's two, Sky Sports and a journalist that's close to Newcastle, both suggesting that maybe Manchester United would be his preferred destination, which is really interesting. But again, until that's official and announced, you just never know. You never know what's going to happen with the players. So, and then Christopher Vivell held lengthy in-house talks about Sesko before United opened talks with the player and later made him their new top striker summer striker target. Ruben Amorim made it clear he wanted a new number 9 to lead the line ahead of new signings Cunha and Mbeumo. Jason Wilcox and Amorim felt Watkins' experience could be significant. However, Vivell spoke about the striker's situation at length to Wilcox and Amorim. He was detailed in his analysis, which outlined, in his opinion, why Sesko was the right striker at this point for United. So that's really interesting from Graham Bailey, suggesting that Wilcox and Amorim were shifting more towards Watkins, which is why we're obviously getting the Watkins news. But I do think that we've made an approach to Villa. I just think Villa have not budged on their asking price, and then United we're not paying £60 million for a 29-year-old, and that's the argument that you've been saying in the comments. I completely agree with that as well. I think that is too much money. I would want Watkins over Sesko, but only at the right price for Ollie Watkins. I wouldn't want to pay £60 million for him, because I agree with what you're saying in the comments, or some of you have said in the comments around the sell-on value, and I get that. If it was 45 million around that sort of fee with some add-ons and stuff, then it's a little bit different, I think. But ultimately, Christopher Vivell behind the situation regarding Sesko, he knows him as a player and a person as well, which has got to be, it stands for something, I think, as well. Especially, as I said this the other day, when you look at all the transfers that we've made since Ineos came in, forget the past, because we're all burnt by the mistakes that we've made in the past, myself included, because I get the argument with it's another Højlund and stuff like that as well. I think it's a little bit different, though, because Sesko is far more experienced now as a player and a striker than what Højlund was when we signed him. Plus, he scored more goals than Højlund has when we signed him as well. So it is a little bit different, but I can see the the argument for that. But under Ineos, I actually think our recruitment's been way better. There's far more hits. Look at Diego Leon, Patrick Dorgu, Lenny Yoro, Aiden Heaven. I think we're getting this right, and that's the benefit of Ineos coming in and putting actually football people in charge. they might not be the best in class, where we might get some misses. You know, not every signing we get is going to be a hit. But actually, I do trust the recruitment a lot more than what I did in the past. But I'm still a little bit burnt in the past. I hope that makes sense. Like, it's still difficult to put your trust fully in what the club are doing because of all the mistakes that we've made in the past. So I'd like to think that this is he's got to be. If we've been after him for years, he's clearly going to be well scouted. He's clearly going to be, you know, well profiled. We've obviously got Christopher Vivel that knows him personally as well, because he signed him for the RB group and stuff as well. So I'd like to think that stands for something. Sully said that Manchester United have told Benjamin Šeško to push for move from his side, with advancements in talks in the last few days. Vivel and Jason Wilcox are in mutual agreement internally over 22-year-old being the number one target. So everyone is aligned with this deal, regardless of whether Wilcox and Amorim's preference was Watkins. And now we're pivoting. We're pivoting because we have to, because you can't pay 60-odd million pounds. And by all accounts, when we went to Villa, they were still adamant they're not going to sell him. So it would have taken a big bid, potentially more than that, to go for Ollie Watkins. And I agree with the club shifting direction and going for Sesko. I actually like what they've done as well when they've kept their doors open for both targets, because had we walked away from Sesko and not made a move when Newcastle came in, we could be in a position now where he's already agreed to go to Newcastle, and we're left, you know, having to pay way more than we want to for Ollie Watkins, for example. But and then Benjamin Šeško has already spoken to Ruben Amorim and is willing to join Manchester United. That came from another fairly decent journalist as well, suggesting. So it's more news, or the main noise at the moment is that his preference would be United, but that's just media noise. There's still no official announcement, or I'm waiting for a Romano on this. Romano's got his finger on the post when it comes to this deal, so I'm sure he's going to break the news regarding an agreement or a choice, or maybe Ornstein will, now that he's got in amongst the mix as well. But we'll wait and see how it plays out now. But firstly, give us your thoughts on all of that. That's all the news that I didn't bring you yesterday because I had a work thing, so I couldn't do any videos. You might not be breaking news for you, but give us your thoughts and feelings in the comments. I know it's going to be mixed, because when we asked the question the other day around who's your preference, Watkins or Sesko, there was a pretty split within the comments as well. And it is what it is. I'd be happy with either. That's my stance on it. I would have preferred Watkins, but only at the right price. And if we've pivoted because that price is not right, then I'm happy for that as well, because I think that's the right decision to make for the club as well, because you can't be paying 60-odd million pound for a 29-year-old. That's just the mistakes that we've made in the past. So then if you're pivoting and you're going for someone younger with more potential and more development in them, and you're paying a little bit more, then there is at least some resale value potentially with Sesko. I do think, though, personally, I do have a few more red flags about Sesko than I do Watkins, because Watkins, I think that for me, it was just the age and the price. But everything else you're getting is proven, and he's experienced and all of that stuff. I think there's a few more red flags around Sesko, his lack of Premier League experience. I don't necessarily think he's as good as what he's being made out to be as well. I watched a video the other day of his last 80 shots, not his highlights. You watch his highlight reel and he looks elite because he's banging in goals. And when he hits the ball, and he scored some absolute rockets and some worldies, right? But when you deep dive it and you look at his last shots, not all that, in my opinion. So he's got a lot of work to do. He's by no means the finished article, but if that's the way the club are going down, it's the way the club are going down. I did read a scout report from it was from an Arsenal outlet or journalist, I can't remember the name of it, but because Arsenal were obviously linked with Benjamin Šeško, and they did a good analysis on it as well, but effectively suggested that actually RB Leipzig haven't been playing to Benjamin Šeško's strengths. They've been asking him to drop deep and get involved in the play, but that's actually not. They think that that's not the profile of Benjamin Šeško. He'd be a lot better at doing maybe what we want in the team, where he's running the channels, getting in behind, because he is quick, he is skillful. You know, and so that was interesting as well to read. But there are a few more flags, I think, regarding Sesko. But it looks like that's the way we're going. And, you know, I'm happy for it. I'm happy. I'd be happy with Watkins. I'd be happy with Sesko. So, because I do think both would be an improvement on what we've got, even though Rasmus scored, you know, did he get accredited 2 goals last night as well? But let's see how it all plays out. Now, you might be thinking, how on earth are we going to afford Benjamin Šeško? So let's go through that. So Simon Stone, who's from the BBC, very credible when it comes to United, is on the tour, in the press conferences, all that stuff, saying Manchester United sources state they can make new signings without needing to offload players. So we've been fed all the nonsense around sell to buy and stuff, and Simon Stone suggesting, no, we can still sign Benjamin Šeško without the need to offload players. I think a lot of that, though, will come to this. So Sky is saying, while Benjamin Šeško would cost more than Ollie Watkins overall, it's thought a more favourable structure could be struck with RB Leipzig, who want in excess of £70 million. So it seems like the more like maybe we have the money to do Sesko, but we need to structure the deal properly, like we've had done with Cunha. We tried to do it over a 5-year period. Wolves said no, we've done his payments over a 3-year period. With Mbeumo, that was the hold up, the deal structure and the add-ons and stuff, as well as Brentford moving the goalposts and asking for £77 million in the end, when they were originally asking for 64 and being a little bit naughty, I would say, regarding that deal. But we've got it done. So it might be that we've got the money for an installment payment this summer, but obviously we still need the cash to come in as well, which is really interesting from Simon Stone as well. Or have Ineos done a blinder and just put it all out there and just gaslit everyone to say, yeah, we've got no money? Because if we'd announced that we've got £500 million to spend, right, can you imagine what Brentford would have asked for Brian Mbeumo? They would have been, they would have chucked another 10 million on the asking price for him as well. So have Ineos just done a bit of a blinder where they just made it out that we don't necessarily have the cash, but we do, but we don't want to announce it because teams will pull our eyes out when it comes to negotiations, and that's one of the things they are trying to fix as well. Who knows? I still think we need to sell players. I think PSR we're fine. I think we've got some cash, but just not enough to go and buy, like massive deals or to do upfront costs and stuff. I think we can structure deals properly, and maybe that's why Sesko's become more attractive as well for us. Interestingly, though, Fabrizio Romano said that Manchester United are offering RB Leipzig the chance to include a player in the deal for Benjamin Šeško. Leipzig consider Rasmus Højlund a dream target. I was speaking to my brother-in-law yesterday when this news broke when I was at work, and I said about a swap deal, and we joked and said swap deals never happen, and we had this big debate for a few minutes around swaps and stuff, and I was like, I don't know, maybe because they are interested in Rasmus Højlund as well. Now Fabrizio Romano saying that and we've got plenty of other players though. Look at the Freedom 5 or the Freedom 4 that's left. Sancho, I think, would be a good shout for RB Leipzig. Anthony probably would. Garnacho would. I don't know if they want a left back. So, but they're saying that one of the ways around the wiggle room or the financial situation of United could be a player exchange for Benjamin Šeško. Now that can't be ruled out neither, with Romano saying it as well. But interestingly, before that, Laurie Whitwell said that do Dortmund make a move for him at some point? So talking about Rasmus Højlund, if he leaves United, RB Leipzig was another one mentioned to me. So Laurie Whitwell has also heard that RB Leipzig might be interested in Rasmus Højlund. Could we see some sort of shenanigans like that? I mean, it's very difficult to do, and I don't know how it impacts you from a PSR perspective and stuff, right? But there's no smoke without fire, and if that's maybe something that we would consider, whether it happens or not, who knows? But obviously Amorim's comments last night were that he's happy with Rasmus and stuff, but he's going to say that until, you can't say, yeah, he's crap, I don't like him and I want to sell him, because we might end up having to stick with Rasmus Højlund all summer if this deal doesn't get done. If Sesko pivots and goes chooses Newcastle, then that might be our last chance to go and get a striker, because obviously we're not going to go for Watkins because he's going to be too expensive. The only other one that we would be linked with then is Nicholas Jackson. There's an update you're going to laugh about in this bit when I bring you some updates regarding his situation as well. So, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Now, the latest coming out is that David Ornstein said that RB Leipzig's asking price for Benjamin Šeško is £64 million guaranteed, plus add-ons and percentage of future sale. The fee expectation has been communicated to suitors. Manchester United and Newcastle pursuing no agreement yet with Leipzig for Sesko. So £64 million guaranteed, and then, percentage of sale, add-ons and stuff like that as well. What do we think about that price? £64 million for Benjamin Šeško. I still think it's expensive. I still think it's a massive risk. But, he is seen as one of the most promising prospect strikers out there as well. I just hope it works. If we go for Sesko and we pay that money for him, I just genuinely hope that it works and it isn't another Rasmus Højlund situation as well. But I'd like to trust that actually he's a little bit better scouted. And there's more thought process behind this as well, which it does seem like Ineos are doing. They do seem to be thinking more around the signings and not just jumping into things and, vetoing deals left, right, and centre, and then ending up, through default just having to go for somebody that's maybe not as fancied by parties behind the scenes. But £64 million, a lot of money, but them's the prices nowadays, isn't it? For young players, that just seems to be the going rate for players at the moment. And he is a good talent. He's a rough diamond, is what I would say. He's got the potential to become a really good player, but that potential needs to be reached, and that's the risk with Sesko, in my opinion. But also Ben Jacobs said the same thing. RB Leipzig want a total package in excess of £69 million, while United value him closer to £64 million. United feel Sesko's desire to join the club, should he signal this, will strengthen their position. So hopefully once a decision is made by Sesko, if he does choose to come to us, then maybe he would force the deal. Remember, Romano's been saying bits around some sort of gentleman's agreement where if he chooses a special club, then RB Leipzig will lower the asking price and all this jazz as well. But we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. But over the next couple of days, hopefully we'll get some news and updates, a decision. Hopefully it is us as well, because we do need a striker, I think. And if Watkins is out of the equation now because he's too expensive, then Sesko is probably the right choice to pivot to, I think, because the only other alternative is Nicholas Jackson. There's no links with Mateta. There's no real links like Weiser, actually, someone's been mentioning in the comments. Would he not be a bridge, like a middle ground where he's a Premier League experienced player, he's younger than Ollie Watkins and cheaper as well? Would that not be a shout? But I don't think we're going to go anywhere near Brentford again. I genuinely don't think we would go, but actually, Weiser wouldn't be a bad shout. Scored a ton of goals last season as well. Younger than Watkins, cheaper than Sesko. We're not linked with him though. But give us your thoughts and feelings on all of that. So like I said, I just wanted to bring you up to date with everything because I missed a day yesterday and I hate missing a day, especially when there's loads of news. If it's a quiet news days, it doesn't make a difference. But I thought there were some really good, significant updates in there as well. So all in, Benjamin Šeško. We'll wait for the decision. Talk of £64 million. Let me know what you think about the fee. Could we do some sort of player exchange with Rasmus Højlund or one of the Freedom 4 that we've got left as well? Who knows? Could we actually get creative and do that? Romano's suggesting it's a topic of conversation potentially, but we'll have to see how it all plays out. But yeah, give us your shouts on that in the comments below. It'll be interesting to read those later. Let's quickly go through the rest of the transfer news then. So Manchester United have made contact with PSG regarding Gianluigi Donnarumma. El Attihad and Galatasaray are offering close to £17 million per year, while Chelsea and Manchester City have also made inquiries. Now that came from Sports Zone. I'm not the most credible source, so I was really just I was debating whether to actually bring that news story out to you. But then James Ducker from The Telegraph, who was also briefed by the club and is also at press conferences and stuff, said that Manchester United made an inquiry for Donnarumma earlier this summer, and PSG now expect the Reds to renew their interest once Lucas Chevalet's signing is completed. PSG are open to selling for the right price. And then I'm like, hold on. Does this have some substance then, the Donnarumma stuff? Because if James Duck is saying it, and he's a connected person at United as well, suggests that we made an inquiry earlier this summer, and could this be another opportunity on the market signing where he's become available, could be at a reasonable price as well, with him only having a year left on his contract. The problem is his wages. Apparently, he wants around £250,000 a week, which is excessive. It's around what we're paying Sancho, though. So we get Sancho off the book and you replace him for that, then, it's one of these. But, could it be the opportunity that we're waiting for? Potentially. According to Romano, though, maybe not. So no talks ongoing at this stage between Manchester United and Donnarumma, nothing concrete ongoing despite reports. So Romano cooling the talk. But that's maybe one to pay a little bit more attention to, because I always felt that it was just nonsense, really. Clickbait, linking us with Donnarumma to either get a new contract from agents or potentially for, just to put his client out there. Not that Donnarumma needs to go out there, but just to make people know that he's available and get more interactions and stuff. But actually, if James Duck is saying that there might be something in it, then we'll pay attention to it. But again, massive outlay, that big wages for Donnarumma. But then is he worth the wages? Is one of the best, goalkeepers around, 26-year-old Champions League winner. I don't know, you tell me in the comments. Now, the other goalkeeper is Seny Lamens. So Manchester United's interest in Seny Lamens is growing, with Emmanuel Martinez's deal proving complicated. The club could wait on Antony's potential sale to Al Nassr to generate funds for a move for Royal Antwerp goalkeeper. Now, that came from Sasha Tavalieri, who is a hit-and-miss journalist as well, because there's an update on Antony I'm going to go through in a second, suggesting that our interest in Lamens is growing, because obviously the complications in Emi Martinez, the price, i.e. for that one, selling Antony could then give us the money to go for Lamens. I would agree with that part as well, but that relies on Antony going, and we'll bring you the update on him in a second. Interestingly, Alex Crook said that Nick Pope could emerge as a target for Manchester United if Newcastle sign Aaron Ramsdale. Pope was out of contract next summer, and Pope fits the profile of the type of player United are looking for to challenge Andre Onana. But again, Alex Crook is not the most credible source, but there's another potential option that we could be looking for the goalkeeper. But the goalkeeper news the other day, Laurie Whitwell was saying it's gone really quiet. Don't know if we're going to go for a goalkeeper now, because it relies on either Bayinda or Onana being sold, and at the moment there's no interest in either of those. But then if you do have an opportunity like Donnarumma to not miss, do you just do it anyway? Do you just go for it and then work it out as you're going along, and then does that force Bayinda to go? Do you know what I mean? Who knows? But we'll have to pay attention to it. And then before we go through the exit news, I thought there's some really interesting comments from Luke Shaw that I wanted to bring you. So in recent years, the atmosphere has been extremely negative. The environment can be quite toxic. It's not healthy at all. We need a healthy, positive environment that radiates good energy and happiness. When all these conditions are met, you feel free and express yourself more on the pitch. So Luke Shaw coming out with a very honest interview, and fair play to him as well, for coming out and actually, bringing us some clarity around the situation at United, saying in recent years the atmosphere extremely negative and quite toxic, and it's not healthy at all. And this is when we was talking about one of the things that Amorim's changing in pre-season. This is why you're hearing so much about attitude and mentality and togetherness and happiness, because apparently even from Luke Shaw himself is saying it's been toxic and it's not been a nice place to work at, basically. He said, during this pre-season, I feel our team is becoming more and more united. I find that the atmosphere is really good and extremely positive. I hope this will continue. So Luke Shaw kind of pointing to the fact that actually it has been quite toxic behind the scenes, which has been reported in the media and stuff. But when a player comes out and confirms it as well, because you never know whether it's true, whether it's coming from Samuel Luckhurst, who's a shit stirrer and stuff. But actually, Luke Shaw's own mouth, yes, it has been a toxic environment. It's been very negative, and that's one of the reasons why Amorim is doing what he's doing with certain players. I think it's fairly obvious now what's been going on behind the scenes if you read between the lines. Luke Shaw also said, I think there is no one left dragging the team down in this group. Everyone is to put the team first. He's made that very clear. He picks the team based on what's best for the team. As players, we fully support him and what he wants to implement. So again, Luke Shaw coming out, picked up from there. No one is left dragging the team down. Everyone has to put the team first. And again, so a couple of things I thought were really interesting from Luke Shaw, just kind of confirming what you've been saying in the comments regarding the atmosphere and the toxicity, and and it points towards why certain players have been exiled from the group. In my opinion, I think it confirms exactly what's been going on behind the scenes and stuff as well. So that's really interesting, I felt, from Luke Shaw. And I thought you can see it on the pitch as well. Like last night, I've not watched the full game yet. That's why I'm a bit reluctant to give my thoughts on the match. I've watched the extended highlights, though. And one of the things you can see is that togetherness as well. Like we are playing like a team again. I was saying last year in the, match reactions and stuff that I was doing, it looked like 11 strangers on the pitch. It looks like the first time they've ever met each other, and they've just been put on boots and said, yeah, go out and run around for a little bit as well. But actually, you can see that's changing already, and long may that continue. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. And then finally, let's go for the exit news. So the sidelined players are expected to be moved to the under-21 dressing room for the rest of the summer when the first team squad returns from the US tour. So Sully Talk saying they've been named the bomb squad in the Athletic. Obviously, we call them the Freedom 4. Nicknamed by yourselves, the sideline players, so they're going to be moved to the under-21 dressing rooms when the team come back from the tour, so they are not coming back into the first team. They are completely out of the equation. Hopefully they can get some moves. On exits, though, firstly, with relation to... to Jadon Sancho. So Manchester United open to selling Jadon Sancho for £17 million with Dortmund and Juventus as the priority suitors. So that came from the Mail, suggesting that maybe Dortmund might come in for Jadon Sancho, and still mentioning Juventus, although that news has gone a little bit quiet over the last few days. On Anthony has rejected a move to Sao Paulo, Botafogo and Saudi Arabia as he only wants to join Real Betis as his next club. Manchester United want £30 million and not another loan move. Personal terms are not a problem with Betis, and that came from a Spanish outlet suggesting that Anthony has rejected moves to the Saudi Pro League because he only wants to go to Real Betis. This deal is infuriating me. I'm not going to say anything more on that as well, but I'd want to see a bit more credibility personally on that one, but that would be about right, wouldn't it? And that's why this deal's just dragging on, and he's dragging his heels because he wants to go to Betis. Betis can't afford him, and are trying all sorts of shenanigans to try and get him. And then on Garnacho, Chelsea value Nicholas Jackson at £80 million and Alejandro Garnacho at £30 million. Told you we'd be in for a laugh on that one as well. Yeah. I can see some sort of deal. I think he's going to go to Chelsea, Garnacho. All the noise seems to be regarding Chelsea. There doesn't seem to be anywhere else. We know he wants to stay in the Premier League, and I think Chelsea are wanting to get Simmons done, and then they're going to try and pull our pants down with Garnacho, and I think it'll be one that, they normally get their way, don't they, in the transfer market, Chelsea. So annoying. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. And then finally on Garnacho, Chelsea are still pushing to sign Alejandro Garnacho as well as Xavi Simons. Garnacho is keen on the move to Chelsea, but Man United are pushing for a deal of at least £40 million. So, we just need to wait and see because the exits are just dragging their heels. There's no real movement. Whether that will change when as the tour closes, we get closer to coming back. Maybe some of the players will start forcing a move through, but we'll have to wait and see. But that's all the latest news. Give us your thoughts and feelings on the comments below, as I'm sure you will. Don't forget, smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.